Sweeney. It is really good to have you in front of a camera and be able to interview you. The thing I want to start with is Married to the Mob. What year did you start it?
I started Married to the Mob in 2004. So this summer is year 12.
And
which is insane.
Yeah, that is insane. 12 years. What was in your first collection? Where'd you sell it? Like, what was the setup?
Okay, so my first collection, if you want to call it that, was 4 T-shirts, and one logo it just said "Married to the Mob" in this. Actually, I think the guy that did this tattoo had drawn it up for me, and it was in the Italian flag colors. It was really corny. And then one was Supreme Bitch in the box logo, the infamous graphic. One said "Fresh out of rehab." And one said "Boys ain't shit but hoes and tricks."
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow, all the classics right from the very start.
Yeah.
What was your first memory of the streetwear scene? How did you fall into it? How did you enter into streetwear?
When you sent me these questions and I looked at that one, it was it's hard to say because it's I'm still well, what is streetwear? I don't know. Is it was that when I was shopping on Lafayette as a 13-year-old at X-Girl and Supreme? Is that my first entrance? But I don't even think that word existed then, or did it? I have no idea. So, or is it when I started Married to the Mob and then I realized that there's a website called Hypebeast and Superfuture and whatever. I don't know. I really am not 100% sure. But when I felt when I realized that it was special and that there was a community and I felt I was a part of, was at this Adidas party. It was some kind of, I think it was the first year, it must have been in 2004. And it was this fucking dope party that was celebrating the anniversary of maybe the Shell Toe or something. I can't remember. And Missy Elliott was there performing and Run DMC and everyone was there and just everybody was there. And I was oh, this is fucking cool. It was the beginning of everything. I can't explain it. But also Bobby Hundreds had emailed me a month or a few months before that oh my god, hey, I have a brand called The Hundreds and you guys are so cool, you and Sharon, the girl I started Mob with, and he's I'm gonna be in the city, maybe we'll meet you or something. And then we had run into each other and finally we had met at that party, at the Adidas party. He was there and I was with my sister and Rob, the A-Life guys, the Undefeated guys were there, Supreme owner, everybody, just everyone was there.
Where was the party?
It was at a loft, of Skylight Studios maybe, somewhere in Tribeca or Soho. It was huge. It was a massive space and it was just fun. It was good.
You just mentioned Rob Cristofaro from A-Life. Where he's been pretty big and influential in your life. Can you say how you met him?
Well, I met him, I can't remember if I think we met originally at Max Fish, which is a, skater, local, cool guy, girl bar that I spent many years in and was 86 from, and then, but maybe I also met him, I guess, when I went into the A-Life store at Orchard Street, and I had a big crush on him, and then we ended up dating, and then we ended up having a kid together, and, starting Mob together, essentially. I mean, he helped me, a lot.
So you met him for the first time at Max Fish?
Yeah.
Is it a memorable meeting?
Totally, yeah. I remember I was with, this, I remember I was with this girl, Amber, and this guy, Louis, and then he was with KR from Crank, and was just one of those magical, I remember I was wearing a Gucci backpack with big door knockers and a snorkel jacket, a Army Navy bomber that was maroon, whatever.
And so he just approached you and you two started talking?
We got introduced, yeah.
And from there, you kept running into him?
You know what? Yes. And then I ran into him again at another bar, which was really random because it was there was literally 5 people. It was a reggae party, and there was 5 people in this place on Bowery. And it was him and Espo and KR, and then me and my homegirl Emily. And I was I was like, you know, give me your number. And he's like, no, give me yours. And I didn't have a cell phone because mine like it got turned off at the time or something. So I gave him my like grandmother's like house phone number. So I was like living there, and he like left me this message. And my mom happened to be at me and my grandmother's apartment at the time, and like he sounded like so like Italian. Like my mom was like, who is this? Who just left that message on the answering machine? And I was like, oh my God, I missed the call. You know, but he wouldn't give me his number because there was like other issues going on that he had to sort out before we got together. But
okay, so what? And then what year was that?
like 2002.
Okay. And then when did you guys have? When did you?
And then 2 years later, I started Mob.
Okay.
And then 2007, I had Kiki.
Okay. So.
And then we broke up a year later.
Okay. But you two have still
no,
a
we're
great
like
relationship.
Yeah. I mean, I can't even really like describe like what my relationship is with him. It's like it's like really like the most like unconditional love. Like we know everything about each other. There's nothing that like he could say to me that would like make me be like, I'm never talking to you again. Like I would always forgive him, like no matter what. Not that he says fucked up shit to me, but like he's the most like patient, like good. He knows me better than anyone and understands me better than anyone and like accepts me like completely like for who I am.
That's a pretty cool relationship to
Yeah,
have.
it's awesome.
So fast forward, your brand made huge news in 2013 when you were sued by Supreme. That was a big moment for Married to the Mob, a big moment for you. They sued you for using the Supreme Bitch logo, which was in your very first collection.
Mm-hmm.
Were you taken by surprise? Can you explain how?
Yeah, like I mean, like legally, like I'm like not allowed to talk about this, but you know, yeah, I was surprised, of course, like very surprised. It was like an aggressive. I thought it was like very aggressive, and like I don't do well when like someone comes at me aggressively, you know, like I will just like fight back. You know, it's all total like love on my side. Like there's no, like I don't have any resentments. Like it cost me a grip of money to fight that shit. But you know, I'm sure he was just doing what he thought was in the best interest of his brand. You know, I'm not. You know, also when lawyers get involved, like you have lawyers just wanting to like bill you, and they're like putting shit in your head, probably in his head, in my head, making us fight, when we could have just like squashed it without going there. But I have nothing but respect for that brand.
Okay. So it's as part of the in the midst of this becoming a big press story.
Yeah.
This Barbara Kruger, is it pronounced?
Mm-hmm.
The artist who actually created the work that inspired Supreme's logo in the first place, commented and said some derogatory things about the battle. Like,
yeah.
How did you feel about that?
I mean, I thought that was great. I was like, oh my God, like I had something to do with her speaking out. Like, she hasn't like, you know, I think people were trying to get her to like talk about the use of their, you know, them using her artwork for a very long time, you know, and she finally, I guess, was just like, all right, I'm going to say something. And what, you know, she had sent a Word document. It was like not like in an email. She put, it was like almost like art, you know. I mean, it's pretty cool.
That was a pretty cool moment for sure. And I guess can you talk about
And I will say, what I will say is that someone from her gallery approached someone that's a friend of mine and asked for a Supreme Bitch shirt.
Were you able to give her a Supreme?
No.
Oh no. By then they were gone.
It wasn't even then. I would have fucking had that shit remade and sent it to her. But the friend who they asked, I wasn't talking to for like a year. And like once we started talking again, he's like, man, I forgot to tell you, this guy I know from Mary Boone, the Mary Boone Gallery or whatever it is, like that's her like agent or something, I'm not sure, had hit me up asking for some Supreme Bitch stuff. And I was like, fuck. Barbara, if you still want it, let me know.